Joining us now, Nelson Balido is the Border Commerce and Security Council Chairman. Charles Marino, former Deputy of Homeland Security Senior Advisor. And of course, with the final day to go before Election Day, we are seeing some candidates and VP figures on the move. You see the back there of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who's making his way through both Minnesota and Wisconsin today. So we'll keep a close eye on his movements. Gentlemen, welcome to National Report. Again, the border crisis, as we know, is top of minds for voters. But many of the swing states are not actually located along the southern border. Nelson, do you think it still has an impact on those voters?
Absolutely, it has an impact. And thanks for having me this morning. I'll tell you, so the immigration crisis, the border crisis is a U.S. crisis. It's not only to the southern border states. And we're seeing things in Colorado. We're seeing things in Iowa. We're seeing things all the way up in New York. No state is agnostic to the issues that are happening all over the border, thanks to the Kamala Biden plan that's let basically everybody in. The last segment, you had a violent criminal. These violent criminals are a serious problem throughout the entire border and throughout the United States. We're seeing time and time again, this is happening all over. And what's happening is, you got to remember, with 148,000 people just crossing the border just in September alone, I don't see the Kamala Biden folks doing anything about border like they say they're doing. And it's getting worse, 112%, in fact, over any of the highest month during the Trump administration. This is a serious issue. And the gotaways, the ones that are not even counted on top of that, are the ones that are being caught. And these are the ones that are causing havoc, like you saw in your last segment.
Former President Donald Trump is scheduled to speak here in North Carolina in Raleigh. That's where we're showing this to you live here. It was scheduled for 10 a.m., but we're hearing it's closer to 10:45. So, again, just a few moments away. We'll bring that to you live. Will the border topic come up? More than likely. Charles, I'll go to you on this in terms of the Harris campaign. The vice president, when she's asked most recently about the border crisis or the struggle with immigration policy here in the States, she leans heavily on Congress in terms of an answer to how to fix the border problems, how to fix what's being dubbed the migrant crisis, right? The former president, Donald Trump, he gets specific as you take a live look here at Kamala Harris's running mate, Governor Tim Walz, meeting several folks before heading off the campaign. He's on the tarmac there. As we watch this, though, and all the movement, getting back to Donald Trump, he's calling for mass deportations when he's asked about specifics. How do you fix the problem at the border? He even says using the military. He called for using the death penalty for non-citizens who kill Americans or first responders like police officers. Charles, who has the stronger argument on this?
Well, considering that the number one priority of the President of the United States is to protect the homeland and keep Americans safe, voters have a pretty easy decision to make as far as I'm concerned. Kamala Harris goes out of her way not to talk about the border crisis, and who can blame her? She's responsible for creating this crisis and wreaking havoc throughout the country. She's been put in a position of defending the indefensible, and that is openly allowing criminals, suspected terrorists into the country to do harm to Americans, wasting billions and billions of dollars on those that shouldn't be in the country to begin with, as opposed to spending that money where U.S. citizens need it most, i.e. education, and overwhelming cities and supporting sanctuary locations like New York City and L.A. for these illegal migrants to wreak havoc. Look, as far as I'm concerned, Kamala Harris owns this. There is no way she can talk her way out of this. Her team knows this. When she does talk about it, she falls on the tired old talking points that you can't secure the border without overall immigration reform, which is complete nonsense. And she points to a Senate border bill that Republicans rightfully rejected because it legalized illegal immigration, amongst other things.
Mass amnesty bill, right, that you're referring to. And
That's
yeah,
right.
The question about executive actions in regards to the border. She really hasn't faced those questions. Either way, she hasn't proposed an immediate solution, something that you could do on day one to secure the border. We'll be watching and maybe hopefully get some exit polling again on where immigration stands for voters. Early polling indicates it's at least a top 3 issue. Nelson and Charles, thanks so much for joining us this morning with your insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.